So today I'll be sharing about my experiences over the last month during this pandemic time, and I've been learning how to use Zoom to teach my ESL classes, and this is starting from basically zero. So our campus closed on March 13th, and like so many teachers, we had to frantically figure out how to keep our classes going, how to connect with our students, and how to teach them. When this happened, all I had was a WhatsApp group for each class. And I was so thankful that I had that WhatsApp group. I could communicate with the group. And for the first week, we just tried to connect. We tried to stay in contact. And I was trying to reassure the students that our classes would continue. So all of my students were just working independently from a list of resources, of different ideas of things to do at home, but nothing was coordinated. They were sending me photos of their work on WhatsApp, and thankfully everyone in my classes was familiar with WhatsApp and they felt comfortable using it. So WhatsApp has really been my lifeline through all of this. And at that time, what really helped me was to connect with other educators on links. I began reading the discussion groups, especially the integrating technology group, and I started reading articles, just trying to get any information I could about how to do distance learning. I read the articles on the EdTech website, and they were all so very helpful. But what I quickly realized was that I was pretty far behind in the use of technology in the classroom. And when I read the resource list of technology tools on links, it felt like an overwhelming jumble of words. So many tools, so many programs that were unfamiliar to me. And in a way, it has helped me to relate to my students and have more empathy for them, to know how it feels to be overwhelmed and lost. So at this time, I'm trying not to beat myself up about what I did not know, but I'm trying to go from where I am and continue learning. Now it's been about a month later, and while I'm still not an expert, I can say that I have learned a lot more. Right now I'm using Zoom regularly, and just recently we introduced Google Classroom, and I'm learning how to use a live Zoom class to connect directly to my Google Classroom and teach my students how to use that. So I've just been learning from others on links, learning from my department and my colleagues as I've been going along. So by the second week of distance learning, some teachers in our department, they began sharing that they were using Zoom to teach their classes. And I realized that a live video class meeting would really be helpful to do. However, teaching a class on Zoom, hosting it yourself, is really not the same as attending a webinar meeting that someone else is organizing. So I ventured into my first Zoom classes only 4 weeks ago, feeling very nervous, but also excited to try it out. And I wondered if any of my students would even want to attend. Some of my students had heard of Zoom, but most of them had not used it. So before the first meeting, I had to walk them through how to get their app on their phone, how to sign up with Zoom on their computer, and this I did through WhatsApp and email. But I did find that most of my students were really not checking their email regularly. They were far more comfortable with WhatsApp, and that was our main hub for communication. So with everything going on right now, I'm trying to remember that this is really not a normal online class experience. Everyone is feeling stress and anxiety in many different ways from everything going on with the pandemic. So in one of the articles shared on links, one teacher shared that his goal right now was to be a human first and a teacher second. So I've tried to make this my goal too, and to be sensitive to each student and what their situation is at home. So the first Zoom class, I had a lot planned, but I did not get very much done. So this is basically how every Zoom class goes. The first class, I really spent the time just asking everyone how they are, how is their family, do they have kids home from school, are they out of work? Are they worried about going to work right now? And then I checked in with everyone to see what technology they had available to use at home. And thankfully, most of my students have at least a smartphone, and many of them have a tablet and a computer as well. So I made a tutorial, and I have the link here to share. If anyone wants to look at it later, you're welcome to look at it or use it. I made a tutorial on Google Slides about how to use Zoom. And then I also recorded myself. This is another technology tool that I learned how to use from the resource list and links. And this is Loom. And I made a Loom recording. It's a screen recording program of how to use Zoom. And I shared that with my students to help them learn how to use it. I really like to make my own tutorials because I find it's more personal to share with them. And I can go more slowly than the regular tutorials that are on YouTube. So our department posts all of our teaching videos and tutorials on our own YouTube channel that we have set up for our department. Okay, so every Zoom meeting that I've been having, I back it up with a lot of communication on WhatsApp and by email. I find that students respond more quickly to a personal message on WhatsApp. So right before a Zoom class starts, I try to connect in with them on WhatsApp first. I send them a quick message to say, we're about to start, 15 minutes. And then as the class starts, I send another message saying, we're starting now. And as the meeting opens up, I keep WhatsApp open the whole time. So I can see if anyone is having trouble joining, which happens quite a bit. So other students will help each other too. If someone asks a question on WhatsApp and I don't notice it right away, someone else will answer it for them. They're very helpful to each other. And often sometimes someone will take a screenshot and share that with the group in WhatsApp right in the middle of the Zoom class so they can show someone, where is the mute button, and they show each other where things are. And there has been a lot of trial and error. I've been trying to be patient with myself and with my students and just have a sense of humor about everything that goes wrong. In the beginning, one thing that helped was to open up a Zoom meeting and host it all by myself and just practice using the tools, practice using the screen share. What's really important with screen sharing is to open up all your tabs you're going to use ahead of time. And I just watched a lot of tutorials on YouTube, but mostly I've just been learning as I'm going right along with the students. The feature I use most often other than screen share is probably the mute feature. There's often background noise from everyone's home. Everyone has their families around, and that can be distracting with background noise. So I'm often just go to the participants link and click mute all, and then I have the students unmute themselves when they're going to comment or ask a question. So what I have found is that I do have a core group of students who really want to continue this class. They are working very hard. They're doing the assignments. They're attending Zoom. And it's their desire to learn that really motivates me to do my best for them. I've had a core group of about 10 to 12 students in each of my classes who are really regular attenders. Another thing I found is that the 40-minute time limit in my free basic account is really not very much. It goes by too fast. So there was someone on links, Jeffrey Woodland, and he recommended having 2 Zoom meetings back to back with a 10-minute break in between. So I started doing this just last week, and it's really been helping to have more time. And I've been checking in with my students, asking them, how is it going? What do you want in a Zoom class? And I give them surveys. And I just ask them, how do you like how it's going? And they've all said that they like the Zoom meetings, and they were happy to have more time. They were happy to have 2 meetings in a row. Okay, so I am now using Zoom to introduce Google Classroom to my students. About 1 week ago in our department, we were asked to get all of our students signed up in a Google Classroom. And I had not used Google Classroom at all before, so I had to learn myself how to set up a Google Classroom. And at first I was worried about introducing another new technology to the students, but so far they've really responded very positively. And I've been using a Zoom class to connect directly into the classroom. I share my screen with my Google Classroom. This is what one of my Google Classrooms looks like on a share screen. And so when I'm in the Zoom class, I walk through how to find their classwork, how to turn in an assignment, and how to use all the features And what's interesting, since we've started the Google Classroom, I've noticed that a few of the students who had really dropped out are coming back. So for whatever reason, they did not feel comfortable attending a Zoom class, but they do feel comfortable signing up for the Google Classroom. And I've gained some of the students back, which is really great. So I've been asking myself continually what to do in my Zoom classes. What lessons should I do? And I've been trying to do a mix of traditional lessons, reading comprehension, grammar, documents that I share on the screen right in the meeting. But then I also thought that there's a lot of possibility here for creativity. So some lessons that I've done, let's see, I'm gonna go to my next. These are some of my lessons that I've used in class, which you're welcome to look at and see what I've been doing. I've showed a video clip from a tour of our local high school, and with a worksheet along with it that I made. So really what I try to do is introduce a lesson in the Zoom class. I show them the lesson, I walk them through how to do it, we do it together, and then I ask them to complete it again on their own for homework. Okay, so here are some of the ideas that I've used in Google Classroom, which I can talk about more in the breakout room. In summary, there's really a lot to like about the Zoom video conferencing classes. It's really not the same as an in-person class at all, but despite it being awkward, despite there being tech problems, it's really been an amazing tool that I'm glad I have right now, and I'm glad I've learned how to use it. I've been able to connect with the students. We see each other's homes, we meet each other's children sometimes. Sometimes the parents come in and say hello. Sometimes their pets come by. So overall, it's been a really nice connection. And I guess that's all I have to share. Thank you.